The lyrics of a track and the rhythm of the vocal delivery can really make or break a song. My former manager, who'd managed a lot of platinum-selling songwriters, often said that the best songs were the songs that talked about feelings or events in brand new ways. So looking at specific moods or situations from a completely new perspective, which makes a lot of sense because to the listener, that song then feels brand new, but also really familiar. Writing lyrics is a real art. The lyrics tell the story of the song and they evoke emotion within the listener. Songwriters approach songwriting in a variety of ways. One of my favourite songwriters, John Legend, said this: "I have a structured songwriting process. I start with the music and try to come up with musical ideas, then the melody, then the hook, and then the lyrics come last. Some people start with the lyrics first because they know what they want to talk about and they just want to write a whole bunch of lyrical ideas. But for me, the music tells me what to talk about." This is also how I write songs. The music's first, that gives a kind of foundation from which you can write lyrics to, and from which you can write a vocal melody to, because you can hear what kind of emotion the music is already evoking, and you can imagine different situations that would fit that emotion. Some songwriters spend a lot of time crafting the song, while other songwriters get it down in no time. It totally depends on the best way that a songwriter works. It's a very individual, personal thing. It often also depends on the song, the songwriting session, the atmosphere within the room, on the day, the mood of the songwriters. Rod Stewart is an artist and a songwriter. A lot of you will already know him, who spends a lot of time on crafting the song. He says, "I deliberate over the lyrics, I really do. I come up with one line in a day, and then it might be a couple of days before I come up with the rhyming line." So you can imagine how long some of those songs might have taken to write. This contrasts with how Sia writes her lyrics. This is what Sia's process looks like. Step 1, composers send her the track. Step 2, Sia plays the track, listens to it, records herself singing a melody and mostly gibberish. The session is either good or bad. Step 3, Sia, if she likes the melody of what she's recorded, will fill in the melody with actual words, and she's described this process as being very natural and very easy for her to do. From my own songwriting experience, having written tracks with millions of plays and a couple of #1 singles along the way, here are my top tips. Start with what you want to say and start with any words. Write down whatever comes into your head. I think it's really good when you can describe things in terms of what senses are creating the situation or the environment around you within the concept of the song. So what can you see or touch or smell? Talking about descriptors like senses helps bring the listener into the experience, into the moment with you that you're describing. And this works particularly well when you have something in the verses that is like describing a past situation or like a past love. What are the things that take you back to that place? Before attempting to get any rhyming patterns going, try and see what just comes naturally in terms of melody and try and focus on one situation. You can write a lot down about one situation, and then once you've kind of whittled down your best ideas, I think that's when the rhymes start to come more naturally. I definitely recommend reading lyrics from the artist that you love and studying your favourite songs in terms of rhyming patterns and phrasing of words and rhythm of lyrics. I think you can learn a lot from hit songs and take those lessons into your original songwriting too. Some people say to keep it simple, and while I agree with this, I would just say don't dumb down the music that you're making, but just be aware that if you are using lyrics to talk about a complex situation or a multitude of feelings, and this is kind of life. Like, life is a multitude of feelings and complex situations, but sometimes the more ideas that go into one song, the more confusing it can be to the listener. So if you can kind of focus in on one idea, I think that's the best way to go. Having co-writing sessions with other people who also write lyrics, so not just an instrumentalist, somebody else who writes lyrics as well. This is something that can be really, really useful. You can learn a lot from co-writing sessions. Everybody writes songs differently. It's great to get other perspectives on how to write songs, and the more kind of different ways that you can write the song and formulate the lyrics and the writing patterns and all that stuff, it just means that you become a much more versatile songwriter. If something's not working, leave it. Don't kind of deliberate over it for hours and think, oh my God, this isn't working, what am I going to do? It's just pointless, and sometimes you can get yourself into a mental block doing that. So if a lyric's not working, either put a filler in it just temporarily so that the rhyming scheme works or the melody works or whatever, but come back to it at a later stage. It's much easier to fix things when you've had time, when you've had a bit of space and a bit of separation from the idea. A classic songwriting tip is to talk about a past event in the first verse and then kind of looking at that event from a different perspective in the bridge, and then in the chorus talking about now and how what happened in the past in that verse has affected you now and what you are doing now. Another common trick is to write the kind of setup and set the story in the first verse and then give the emotional payoff in the chorus. My last two tips, which I do think are probably the two most important things, are: one, if in doubt, leave it out. Make it all killer, no filler. If you have any lines that you've just thrown in there so that there's a rhyme, or if you have anything that's sort of like a placeholder for something that you were going to come back to, just get it to a place where you're really happy with it and that the story makes sense and the song flows really well. And then the last tip, practice makes perfect. Makes almost perfect. You don't want to be perfect in a way. You don't want to have a formulaic style of songwriting. It's about treading that fine line between chaos and order. Too much order can stunt the chaos that is creativity, but too much chaos can lead to a song without any structure. So it's a fine line. I heard a great tip on a video where Ed Sheeran was giving some other songwriters some advice, and he said that you should just write and write and write. Loads of songs, write all the time, because the more songs that you write, the clearer your creative water will be. And sometimes you just have to turn on that tap until the dirty water runs clear. I hope these tips have been useful for your next lyrical adventure. Thanks so much for watching this video. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and send us your music. We'd love to hear it.